Hey, welcome to another Cosmo Attempts Minecraft episode. In this video I want to show you how to make this. A hidden enchantment room. When I was trying to make this I realised you can't actually move the enchantment table because it's made of obsidian. So I had to try and find a way so you can actually hide the block rather than actually move it, unfortunately. But this was the best solution I come up with. Make it look like it embeds into a wall. So yeah, no further ado, let me show you how to make a hidden enchantment room. Right, so under here we've got our minecart in the floor, and we've got our system to carry the item into the chest so we can get our item back out again. This then activates a simple on-off switch. When I throw this in here, pushes it out. When I throw it in here again, pulls it back. So one tick pulse going through the sticky piston leaves its item out. Then it just needs another one tick pulse. Ooh. Put it back out again. Now this is how I managed to make this circuit work. It's fairly easy down here. The main trick block is this little block here. This is the block that does all the magic. So what's happening here is this block is powered by this line here. And when it's not powered, this torch is lit, so it then inverts these torches. But then when this line is powered, like so, these are then turned off because of this line. This line then powers this block, which then turns off this candle, which then unpowers this line, which turns off, or which turns on rather, these candles. If you power a piston directly, it then doesn't affect the piston next to it, which was the biggest hurdle for making this, really, was how to get two pistons that sit next to each other not to fire at the same time. I made a couple of working examples of how to get pistons that sit next to each other to work at opposite times, so one turns on as the other one turns off. Alright, so to make this, let's start off by making a little area and place down your enchantment table so you know where you want that to go, so you can build around this as our central point. From here we want to place around our bookshelves, going around the outside. Don't worry about the corner ones, because we're stacking them too high. They're not actually, don't actually need the corner books. So there's 8, 9, 10, 11, that's 12. So this will be where our wall will go. So when it's hidden, this will be flush up against the wall. So it will look like that when it's hidden. So these 3 blocks here, when retracted, will be quartz, like that. And then we want to have another 2 bookshelves pop up like this. Right, so now we've got an idea of where the blocks are all going to go. We need to start popping in our pistons so we know where we want things to move. So for example, these blocks here, when retracted, need to go in this space here. And when they're retracted, they want to go here, and then when they're pushed out, they want to come here. So sticky piston needs to go there. So you need to do this for all 3 of these. So replace these with sticky pistons. And then these 2 bookshelves as well, we want to push up into this space. So replace these 2 blocks with sticky pistons, as well as these ones. Ooh. So when retracted, it will go here, and then when it's pushed out, it will go here. Let's just use a lever to start off with, so we can actually build a redstone line out. So before we do that, let's dig out this area underneath these pistons. So let's go 2 down underneath all these pistons, and then 2 around them, just to make it give us an easier area to work in. So now we've got this area cleared out underneath these pistons. We want to pop a block underneath each one of these pistons so we can stick our candle on it. So there's the front ones, and then the back 3. And then just place a candle on top of each one to directly power each piston, like so. Now we need to pass a repeater into each of these candles. So 4 off the front, and then 3 off the back. And then we need to put our redstone line in. So come across the front of these. And as a temporary switch source, let's pop in a line here. And then we need to put our our lever. Okay. Dig that out so we can get in easier. Run a line along the outside here. Make sure you keep a gap away from these blocks here, because this block's powered. It can interfere with the redstone coming across the side here. And then we want some redstone to go across the back of here. I'm going to push this wall back one more, just to give us a bit more room down here. So then from here, if I pop a block there, and a repeater going into it, and a torch off the side, because this is not currently powered, torch is on, which means this line will be powered, which will turn off these torches. So this should now mean, when I pull this lever, those close and those open. When I pull it again, it does the opposite. Now for timing, if you do a 2-tick delay on these front ones, it means we get more of a uniformed motion. Now this front middle block here, if we pass in a half slab, it'll make it easier to get to the chest later on. So these 3 blocks here will need to be pulled up out of the way. So we need to put pistons in so that when it's open, they appear up here. Ooh. Like that. So get rid of these blocks now. Let's just get the framing in. So to start off with, let's surround all these bookshelves from the outside so we can't actually see the bookshelves. So what we want to do is this corner here where the books are, if we tunnel down, the reason why I didn't put the corner books in is we can use this as a power line. Well, you've got to cover this area up anyway. It doesn't really affect the size of the building to put our power line up in this block. So what we'll do is, where this torch is currently affecting this line here, we'll also pop a block above it. So when this torch is on, it'll power this block as well as this redstone line. Which means we can pop the candle off the side of that, which should currently be on. This space here. So this block, this candle powers this block, which in turn allows us to pass in another candle up here. So we've got the repeater powering this block, which turns this candle off, which affects this block, which is currently off, so this one's on, which affects this block, which powers this block, which turns this candle off. And then we need to pass in another one with a candle on it, another block with a candle on that, and then another block up here with a candle off the front. Now to power these pistons, the best way I found to do it was to pass in a repeater off the middle one and then redstone off the other ones. I couldn't find a way of getting all 3 of them to power at the same time without passing a repeater in like this. Maybe there's another way of doing it, but I found this was the least expensive way of doing it. So now what should happen is when I pull this lever, they open and these push up, and I pull it again, they close. Now what we've got to do now is get some stairs and cover up this space here. Now rather than using a lever, you're going to want to put in some sort of hidden button so you can then activate this easier. What I was thinking is, rather than having solid blocks here, if we pass these in like this, well, that could be solid, that one, like so. It gives us a little bit of mood lighting, so you can kind of see the lights through these. But it also means we can see down into this space down here, which will be useful. So what I'm going to do is, where there currently isn't a piston in this place, we can use that area to pass in a chest. So when we drop an item in to a hopper that comes along and goes into the chest, when it's open, we should be able to reach through this gap here and get our items back out of the chest. So let's build this switch up. So So to make this, you need to get rid of the switch to start off with, and get rid of this power line so it doesn't power the hoppers by accident. So let's grab our hoppers and any block just to make this easier. So we want a hopper line to go this way at the moment. Into this chest. So when an item's dropped down, it goes across into the chest. So then off this front hopper, I clear this space out next to it. So now we need to get our comparator, pass it off this way. So when an item gets dropped in, this comparator will power. If we then use this comparator to power a sticky piston to push our observer block, what we want to do is to send a 1-tick pulse into a sticky piston, so then it releases the item it's currently touching. So let's get out redstone block like that, and then build a redstone line like this. So what will happen is when an item's dropped down into this hopper, it will power the comparator, which will push this sticky piston, which will give a 1-tick pulse to this sticky piston, which will push out its block and keep it here, so it's then on, which will then power this line. Then we drop a second item in, it will go through, send a 1-tick pulse to the sticky piston via the observer again, which will then pull the block back again. So if I show you that quickly, drop an item in, that stays out, so it's now powered. And push another item in, it pulls it out, and it's now open again. So now this is where we want to put in the minecart. So what I'll do is pass in any block on top. I need to get a minecart rail. I always forget something off my list of things you need. Right, so like that. Get rid of that. So that's now in place. Now I want to get an unmovable object. Pop that in like that. And the block for the floor, which would usually be oak, I'd have thought at this point. Stick a sticky piston behind it actually. And then you want to power this piston. Get rid of that, get rid of that, and get rid of that. Cool. And then just pop the rest of this floor in. Okay, so this is now what it looks like. So I'll drop an item in on this square, wall opens, and then I drop something else in again, walls close. And then all I've got to do is reach into the floorway here, and I get my items back out again. So here I have another example of what it could look like in an apartment. If you throw something under the coffee table, the wall then opens to reveal an enchantment room. And then throw something under it again, and it will close. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. If you did, feel free to give us a like or a subscribe, and I'll catch you again in another one. Cheers for watching.